This video is brought to you by Grandeur Warranty, your #1 online source for factory-backed extended warranties in the country.
Over the last 6 months of driving this brand new all-wheel drive hybrid Ford Maverick, we have shown that it's very efficient. But what about while towing a trailer, huh, Kase?
That's right, because this is, after all, a pickup truck, and one of its functions is to pull a trailer. So we're interested to see what impact this Honda Talon and our Luma trailer is going to have on our fuel economy.
Exactly, that's precisely why we're doing Denver 100, our standard MPG loop, which is about 111 miles of distance. We're going to pull this trailer. We're basically maxing out this truck. So let's show the hitch and the trailer. We've been using WaySafe hitches for quite a long while, and here's why. They're aluminum. They're very, very strong, height adjustable, and they have a built-in weight scale. So right here it shows almost 500, maybe 450 pounds of tongue load, and we're pulling almost 4,000 pound trailer. So when we were loading this trailer, Kase and I were able to move the Honda Talon side by side just precisely enough while watching this gauge, and we set it at about 10% tongue load, which should be perfect at high speed that we're running at. So check out the link in the description below, way-save.com/TFL, and you could pick up one of these hitches for you as well. And we're using it here in the rise position because the Maverick is a little bit low to the ground and this trailer is very tall. And we're using this Luma all aluminum trailer, and it may be just a little bit too much trailer for this little Maverick, but nonetheless, this is pretty heavy duty. The trailer itself weighs about 1,900 pounds, and it's about a 20-foot deck. It's got drive-over fenders, and it's capable of carrying something that's about 8,000 pounds, believe it or not. But we're not carrying 8,000 pounds, right, Kase?
No, we've got instead this Honda Talon, which is more in the weight range of what our Maverick is capable of pulling. And this is a very cool side-by-side, one that we've been testing out at the ranch for quite a while, that Honda loaned us as a long-termer. And it is super sporty, ton of fun to ride. You can see we've got pretty big Showa shocks.
It's pretty showy, right?
On the rear, very cool, yeah. So super fun side-by-side that we have hitched up behind our Maverick, and this is going to be our setup for testing MPG. Not super high profile setup because it's not as big as like a box trailer, but still a pretty decent load to put behind a small truck like that. And
also we have that shield in the front, which is actually pushing some wind.
That's true.
So that's going to be interesting because it's also wider than the Maverick, this particular trailer. And also this Honda, like you said, has been pretty amazing because we don't use it every week or every day, but every time you and I get into it, it fires up on the first click and it just goes. All right, dude, so this Maverick's fuel tank is around, well, it's almost 14 gallons, which is not a lot. But in this video, we can also show you what we've done with it in prior videos. So, Kase, we're using 87 octane, even though we have 85 because of high elevations here in Colorado. We're about a mile above sea level. But this Maverick says he likes 87. So we're going to use that, just for accuracy.
Exactly. You want to use what the manufacturer is recommending. So that's exactly what we're going to do on this test.
As always, we wait about 30 seconds and just give it a small top off, and just making sure we're even every time.
So as we get onto our Denver 100 loop, I want to talk about the changes they made for 2025.
Yeah, because they made quite a few, even though from the exterior it doesn't look dramatically different. You can see the difference in the headlights and a few of those exterior features. They did quite a bit.
Exactly. So let's not talk about cosmetics. Let's talk about the real stuff, because they beefed up this planetary gear set CVT, continuously variable transmission, and that allowed them to do a couple things. Have a hybrid all-wheel drive and tow more, so up to 4,000 pounds.
That's true. So we're in a max tow version of the Maverick right now, but also hybrid and all-wheel drive. And that was another one of the big changes that we were excited about, because initially when these Mavericks came out, as many people know, the base model was the hybrid, but it was only available with front-wheel drive. This one is all-wheel drive, and we've got that max tow package, which is what makes this such a versatile vehicle, because it's something that you can use in all weather conditions, something that gets a really good fuel economy unladen. Still a useful vehicle. It's got 4 seats. It's got a bed that you can throw an amount of stuff in. It's not the biggest bed in the world, but still plenty usable. And we're going to see now what kind of fuel economy it gets while towing.
Well, actually, it has 5 seats too. I mean, in the pinch, I mean, I wouldn't wish it upon anybody to sit in the middle here.
Yeah, maybe
but
not.
in a pinch, you could put 5 people in here.
Yeah, probably not ideal for full-size, full-grown adults, but you could do it. It's true. Yeah, this has been a really great truck overall because it can wear so many different hats. But this is kind of my question, because we tested this truck on the Ike with a very similar trailer to what we're pulling right now,
Yeah.
and it performed really well. It did a great job on the downhill, and it was able to maintain the speed limit on the uphill, surprisingly so, even though this motor's not a powerhouse by any means. But I wonder if it can maintain some of that fuel economy that we love it for when it's working as hard as it is right now.
It is working, and also I put it in tow haul mode, which it has. Also, amazingly enough, it has an integrated brake controller for the trailer. It's by my left knee, which is maybe not the ideal position, but I'm worried about one thing.
What's that?
So I put it in tow haul mode.
Yeah.
And if it works in the exact same way that an F-150 hybrid does, which I think it does, that means it basically shuts out electric only mode, which is where most of the fuel savings actually come from.
It's true.
So we may not see amazing numbers, but let's show some amazing numbers that we did get while we were in eco mode. For example, Mary, she drove it for a week.
Yeah, and she was getting, on her long commute to and from work, some really substantial fuel economy figures, as did you when you did the Denver 100 with this vehicle and actually tested what fuel economy we're getting at the pump, because Mary's number was just based off the trip.
Yeah.
Let's go calculate. Okay, so 111 mile loop, our standard, divided by 2.656 equals what? Cole, 41.8?
And like you saw right there, I was getting 41 mpg on the highway on this exact loop, but during warm temperatures.
Yeah.
And this is where the Maverick Hybrid may struggle a little bit, is when in the middle of the winter, you know, when you're running the heater and you're running, you know, the powertrain pretty hard, the efficiency might go down significantly.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily unusual, but
Yeah.
it's definitely going to be a big difference in the fuel economy that we had on Unladen versus what we're going to get today. It's not going to be nearly 40, that's for sure.
Well, right now, after 4 miles, it says 15.
Yeah, so... Now, to be fair, the initial part of this MPG loop is
Yes.
mostly uphill.
Yes.
So we won't know how good the fuel economy is until we get toward the end, after we've gone through some of the gradual downhill sections of our loop.
Exactly. And just to throw out a couple more specs, right? So the total power output of the setup, including the 2.5 liter gasoline engine, is 191 horsepower. Ford does not really specify the total torque because of how the electric motor plays with the gas engine, right? But that number, I mean, doesn't sound like a lot, but pulling this trailer, this doesn't seem strained, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually surprised at how confidently this Maverick is able to pull the maximum amount of weight that it's rated to tow. It does it pretty well. It does it convincingly. The other thing that's worth noting for this MPG loop is that we are not by any means hypermiling. We're going to do this loop exactly the way that you out there would if you were pulling a trailer. So we have the AC on, we are going the speed limit, and we are also running it in tow haul mode. So the goal here is not to do anything crazy and out of the ordinary to get the best fuel economy possible. We want to test, like always, the real world numbers that you'll get if you tow long distances with one of these trucks.
And let's say you were feeling frisky and you said, I'm not gonna tow in tow haul mode. I want to use normal or eco mode.
Right.
Sorry, that's what I meant by frisky.
Right, sure.
And a little adventurous.
Okay, that might be better.
Sorry, yes. Let's say you felt a little adventurous and you ran this in normal or eco mode while towing. You could potentially eke out more, but the tow haul mode also helps you slow down.
Yeah.
Which is important because it's not about just getting going, it's about safety and slowing down.
Yeah, and that tow haul mode exists for a reason. We're going to use it because if you're towing, you're probably going to be using it as well.
Dude, something bizarre is happening.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I expected us to get worse economy pulling a trailer, obviously.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right? You know, I was expecting maybe 20. I thought maybe 18. It's showing 13.6, and we've used half a tank.
Yeah, we are cruising through this small fuel tank, and 13.6 is a pretty far drop from over 40 miles per gallon that we've seen in the past.
Yes.
But I don't think it's that out of the ordinary, because think about what we've done. We've taken a very small, reasonably aerodynamic, lightweight truck with a small engine, and then we've ruined the aerodynamics because we've got a trailer with a side-by-side sticking up on it.
And also that not giant, but a sizable shield on the back of this trailer.
Yeah, so we're pushing a decent bit of air, especially at 65, 75 miles an hour, depending on which stretch of highway we're on here. We've made our rig much heavier, and it's a lot of weight for this little engine to have to push.
And also it's been a little bit droney because as we are accelerating, you know, it's trying to keep that engine in its power band, right, to make the power. And also it cut me out of electric only mode, and it's a little bit windy as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So you would expect, you know, this trailer to, you know, completely wag the truck, but it doesn't.
The truck and trailer setup doesn't get pushed around that much. It's surprisingly sure-footed for a small footprint, lightweight pickup.
But we still have, what, 30 miles left? And I hope we have enough fuel, dude.
Yeah, I think we'll make it fine on one tank. That would be a first.
That would be a first. If we could make 111 miles with on one tank, that would be a first.
But I don't think that's going to be an issue for us. However, our fuel economy should continue to get better as we go along.
Yeah, we're going to descend into Boulder now.
So we'll see where it ends up.
Little trucks like this Maverick make for really great working vehicles that you can keep for many, many years. And if you want to protect your investment, check out GrangerWarranty.com. It's factory-backed, extended warranties that you can get for your powertrain, electronics, a lot of aspects of your truck. Check them out. You can get it after purchasing, so you don't have to do it the minute you buy a brand new vehicle. You can save some money and get it serviced at certified places with OEM quality parts. So 14.3 MPG, registered right here. Let's see how close we are in the real world. We do have a little bit more than a third of tank left, so I was kind of maybe overreacting a little bit when I said we couldn't make it, but...
Yeah, but we did run it down quite a bit.
We did.
Andre is sea level for wussies.
Yeah. We tested high altitudes, high elevations. We got to talk about the price of this truck, because as good as it is and as versatile as this little tiny pickup truck is, we paid over $36,000 for this XLT with a couple of options.
Yeah, and a couple of decent options. We've got power seats, we've got
heated
big
seats.
Screens, heated seats.
Yes.
So it's not like it's a bare bones truck, but it's definitely not super spec'd out. There's still cloth seats. It's an XLT. It's relatively basic.
Yeah, they start in the front wheel drive at around 27 grand, 28-ish. With all-wheel drive, that brings that up a little bit, and with some options, it brings it up a little bit more. All right, let's see. We still need the top off, right?
Yeah, so we're gonna wait 30 seconds. I do miss the days when these Mavericks started just under $20,000. That was a pretty screaming deal.
Yeah. Okay. So that's just over 8 gallons, right? All right, so according to my calculator, 111 is really the GPS distance of this loop. Divide by, what is it, 8.05? Yeah. Equals 13.8. So actually, that was not far off.
No, it was a little bit optimistic,
Yeah.
which is not unusual. A lot of times a trip computer is. But around 14 miles per gallon is a pretty big hit for pulling a trailer, which makes sense. But
Yeah, but like really, if it's rated at 37 on the highway, if you divide it by 2, you would expect something in the higher teens.
yeah,
18. So we saw some wind today. So that's not really great for towing at all.
no, and
Yeah.
again, it kind of makes sense. We're really maxing out this truck in this little powertrain. So understandable that it's not getting great fuel economy. I think we were hoping for a bit more, but that's what we get.
All right, well, thanks for joining us once again. So baby trucks with decently sized trailers are still not very efficient.
Yeah, there you go.
So we'll see you next time at alltfl.com. Thanks for joining.